Money is the root of all evil is an idea that's been stuck deep in the collective consciousness since forever. But there's other ways of seeing it, of course. And I remember as a kid, my mother saying, she was quoting Reverend Ike, saying it's not money is the root of all evil, it's the lack of money. It's one of his most legendary statements. And in the Bible, it's about the love of money being the root of all evil. But then in manifesting, we look at what that really means, and whether it's that money is itself the root of all evil, or whether it's something else. And healers, light workers, energy workers in what are considered the heart-centered spiritualpreneur lines of work, what that means to them, what that means professionally, why there's hesitation to earn money, why there's some fear around earning money, why there's what's been called nervous system dysregulation around this very deep money story, this limiting belief around money. And then there's another aspect, and it's one of the reasons that we're sitting literally on this idea of money being the root of all evil. Hi, I'm Valerie, and welcome to my channel on Major League Manifesting with Manifesting Essentials and Manifesting Insights so you can live a divine life. Give this video a like, share it, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date on my latest content. And welcome to all my subscribers. If you have just joined, or if you have been following my channel for a while, I am so happy to have you along. And the subject that we're covering today, of course, is this major and deeply embedded subject about money and where this really comes from and why it affects so many of us. It even follows from my last video about looking deeper into illusion, looking deeper into finding what is real and unreal, what is permanent and what is not. So the reason that humanity has been psychically split about money, it's not because of being born into wealth versus being born into much lesser circumstances or poverty. It's because we know many stories of people who started out in very impoverished situations and became extremely wealthy, wanting to be being Cinderella, the feeling of wanting to be rescued, swept off our feet by Prince Charming and taken to live in the castle and being very happy there. But we also have come to understand in today's concepts, it's also said, no one is coming to save you. The idea that someone is going to come in and whisk us away from the issues and the circumstances that we are experiencing is maybe true, but only to a point. It's something that we might fantasize on rather than imagine being in that state of having the right person, of having the wealth, of having the riches and the lifestyle. So the root of the issue between spirituality and money, as I was basically saying at the beginning, you're sitting on it. You're sitting on it. It is the root chakra, the sacral chakra, the energy center. Whether you call it a vortex, an energy center, whether you relate it to the glandular system, it's been said to relate roughly to the endocrine system, but however you see it, they are all forms of consciousness moving through these energetic segments of the body at all times. And the root chakra is, in fact, color is red, relating to the earth, to blood relations, to community, to groundedness. And it's over time gotten a bad rap. And let's take another look at the name of the root chakra. It's called Mula, Muladhara, Muladhara. And in some pronunciations, the phonetics of it, it comes out spelled Moola, because it's the way it's pronounced, Mul or Mula. So the connection to that, and you can begin to see that the connection is linking back to what? Money being called moolah in slang. It's considered moolah. The term was used all the time when I was growing up, and I know it's still very much embedded in the culture to this day. So if you take that deeper look, we're really saying it's that chakra. It reflects back as money. Is it money that's the root of all evil because money became known as moolah? But it's because that chakra itself, that energy, that movement of consciousness, began to be more shut off from the other parts of the chakra system, the other 6 main parts that were thought to be, those are more spiritual. If you're talking all the way up to the 7th chakra, which is the opening of consciousness in the crown of the head. But really, we need a fully functioning, energetic movement in the sacral chakra in order for energy to move in a balanced way through the body, and in our thinking, in what we're imagining and what we're putting meaning on. It all comes through in that same system, in that same manner. But it's trying to shut out a part of a very subtle part of one's consciousness. It's about shutting down or shutting out a part of your own consciousness, an essential part of your state. And this is one of the reasons we have these conflicts. Over time, it was the upper chakras, which are more related to the bliss centers and to higher consciousness, began to be given more attention. They became more the star of the show. And you say, well, why not? That's the goal, is to be at the highest. But it's also, yes, of course, and it's to fully perform your role, to live from that state. So if you do want that state of wealth, you want it where everything is fully in balance in yourself and fully functioning. It's imagining that you are already that which you wish to be. That is what manifesting is about, what choosing a state is about, as Neville Goddard taught. You already are that which you wish to be. So everything that is part of that comes from having all these parts of your subtle energy systems fully alive, vibrant, and awakened, along with everything else. That's part of the whole teaching on the Kundalini awakening in itself, which it can be very complex. It's not always a direct route up, but it figures very deeply into this understanding and into the dysregulation over time. It's just this sort of myth and cultural teaching that have gotten all woven in together, that brought in some idea that anything to do with the root chakra was necessarily a bad thing. No, it's not. It just means that every part of you is functioning. That's why there's now more emphasis on teaching sensuality and movement and other things in somatic teachings, is to understand the body and what it needs to do to fully express itself without shutting down. All of these things absolutely play in together. So what does Muladhara actually mean? If you break those syllables up, Mul and Adhara, Mul means root. Adhara means that which isn't changing. Dhara would mean flux, constant change. And of course, everything is in the universe constantly changing. But if we say Adhara is the pronunciation, you're talking about something that is grounded, steady, persisting, eye of the storm. Very much everything I was talking about in my previous video, and I will give the link for it in the description for this one. And that's how it comes together. It is the root of that which is stable, of steadiness, of what is changeless in the face of change. It's a foundation. In 1 Corinthians 3:11, it said, "For no one can lay any foundation other than the one already laid, which is Jesus Christ." Christ is consciousness. Christ is the foundation, the end, and the beginning. In Romans 1:18, do not be arrogant toward the branches, but if you are arrogant, remember that it is not you who supports the root, but the root supports you. So this also very beautifully and powerfully describes Muladhara. It is the root that supports you. So this little war, it's not so little, this war that goes on between being spiritual or being wealthy, that it's choose one over the other. Well, is it going to be wealth? Is it going to be spirituality? You can't have both. But yet, yes, you can. In Hinduism, there is a wonderful story about a king. And one day the king is sitting in meditation, and he has a very powerful awakening in meditation. He understands his true divine nature. And when he experiences that, he decides in the middle of the night to renounce being a king. It's an abdication of the throne, as it were. And he stands up, he throws off his royal robes, and he walks out of his palace while all of his attendants were asleep. And he gets past the guards, and he goes out and he disappears into the night, into the forest. And he settles under a tree, and he sits down in meditation, and he zones out completely into his meditative state of bliss and forgets where he is. He forgets he's the king. He forgets everything, just that he wants to be a renunciant. He's sitting there under the tree, and a few days later, some people from his village come riding by, and they look at him and they say, "King, it's the king, oh my gosh." And he's sitting out here, and it's pretty chilly out. The seasons are changing. We'll go home and we'll get him some warm clothes, and we'll bring him some food. So they go and they do that, and they come back and they leave him the food, and they gently put the robe, the warm blankets around him, and they go on. Other people come from the village. They've been out looking for him, and they say, "My gosh, it's the king." And they find the king, and they decide to bring him some other things to drink and some warm socks to wear. So they start bringing him things. Finally, someone alerts the guards from the palace who've been out looking for the king, and they go right to the spot where he is, and they bring him back to the palace. And at this point, the ground around the king is beginning to look more like a spiritual festival, with people offering meditation teachings and sessions and yoga demonstrations and cooking food for people. And it's getting pretty lively over there. And it's almost like the way things were in the village that he had walked out of. So they bring him back. And at that point, the king comes out of his meditation, and he realizes that he didn't have to give everything up. He could still rule from his divine understanding, and it actually made him an even new and improved, as it were, ruler. This became his path, was to be in his divine state and conduct his daily business as the king. And everyone loved him, and he was a very fair and just king. And what this is basically saying is there doesn't need to be an inner war about being spiritual and having wealth. He came back to his palace, he reassumed what he had, but he did not harbor any resentment toward money or any fear or any sense of it being an evil thing or a bad thing to have the two coexisting, that it was actually beneficial from the way he now could handle it. He went into a regulated attitude rather than a fearful or angry attitude about money. There he was sitting on his root chakra, on his throne, that he thought he needed to walk away from it. But as they say, wherever you go, there you are. And it's really, really true it was just as true of the king in ancient times in ancient India as it is true of us today. You have what you want, and you are fully functioning throughout all the systems, and throughout your intention, throughout persisting in your state, and letting that go so that you can attach to a new state that fully understands and relates to the proper, or you might say the dharmic. In Hinduism, these are the four purusharthas, and dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. And dharma is, we talk about doing your dharma. It's following that right path of appropriate action, of having moral values and functioning in society. And you have kama, which is related to pleasure, enjoyment, love, sexuality. All of these things are part of kama. And also just different things that you have enjoyment of in life that bring you pleasure in a general way. And moksha, which is liberation. It's spiritual liberation. It's mental liberation. It's inner freedom overall. And then you have artha. Artha is wealth. Artha is prosperity, abundance, wealth in all kinds of things. It can be wealth in having a lot of love in your life. It can be wealth in having a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience, a lot of anything that brings you something in great quantity, in a good way, in a beneficial way, would be part of artha. And money is certainly a major part of artha in itself. The dharma of having wealth. You can also explore each one of those four purusharthas as a state or an aspect of a desired state. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Moksha, of course, is the underwriting, that liberation, divine imagination, and God speaking to you through your imagination, as Neville Goddard taught, or of understanding Christ consciousness as the ultimate consciousness. These all play in, and the other aspects of it can become part of it. They can be states that you explore in yourself, the state of enjoyment. We have things we want to enjoy throughout the day. We have things that we want to feel abundant about. We have things that we're feeling in gratitude for, the work that we want, the work that we do, whatever it is, we can bring that all into the experience of manifesting. But where does this circle back? Where does this circle back, though, to the idea about money and the difficulty that we have in understanding so often that it's okay to be wealthy, that it's okay to even enjoy having money. So that the tie-in of enjoyment and wealth is part of the 4 goals of life. It's all there. It's all been set out in this Hindu concept. Are joined. That's why they're considered the 4 goals of life. They're not meant to be separated from each other. They're all interdependent. They all give each other life and vibrancy and meaning, and that is the greatest resource for you to play in as well. Thank you so much for watching. Hit the notification bell, give this a like, share, and leave questions or observations in the comments. Love to receive those. And thank you so much for watching. It's so great to have you here. And please share it so this channel can reach more wonderful people like you. See you in the next video.